Welcome to Wednesday, May 31st call. I had a great conversation with, there's a lady I've been following, working, and her name is Amy. And she was the one who shared how to use chat and so she has specific prompts that her and her husband figured out how to use so that chat can mimic, I guess, your tone and your voice. And so I had a great conversation with her yesterday. And I've been on a couple of her different calls. And so she sent me a message last week and said she just wanted an opportunity to, to connect with me. And so, she has a team of people. So her message was, hey, this is Amy. Yeah, it's really me. This is my private cell. This isn't like a bot kind of thing. And wanted to get to know me a bit more. And I left it for a couple days because I found myself in a place and space of going, she just wants to sell me something, which is really interesting for me because that's not a position that I normally take. And I know that I was given that gift because I authentically want to connect with people. And I've talked about this a little bit, over the last, couple of weeks of wanting authentic engagement with people. And the hesitancy people have in doing that for fear of being sold to. And so when I paused the hesitancy, it's because I was, I guess, in that place and position of where other people have shared with me that they've been in. And so I was able to, sit in that discomfort of going, I would really like to get to know her, and it would be, what would that look like? And so I had a great conversation with her yesterday. It was not code for sales conversation. She did ask me some very specific questions about my business, which I loved because they were things that I've asked myself. But when we can set goals or intentions, and sometimes it's nice to have a reflection of ourselves, a mirror of ourselves to witness, right? And again, I always caution when we do that. If we do that with people that love us, they want us to be safe and secure. So often their response for us is around safety and security versus support in the way that we want support. And so in the conversation was really interesting because she does have a couple of different products for sale, and not once did they come up, other than she asked me, she has a VIP day happening in Washington in August. And she asked me, was there any particular reason why I hadn't, or I decided not to join, not to come, which I thought was a great way. And she was taking notes, and her and I talked back and forth, and she does this quite a bit. And for her, it's a lot of market research as well. Staying in touch. Everybody, hang on. Let me try that again. Maybe not. Staying in touch with people and having conversation around their experiences. And when she reached out, she didn't reach out as I'm doing market research, but an actual connection call. It was nice to witness something that was really authentic in a way that for me, I could model that authenticity, right? And it was a mirror for me because that's how I like to show up. So there's always, of every experience we have an opportunity to look at and ask ourselves, right, is this a mirror? Is this an opportunity for growth? Like what's the message behind it? And so it was the first time that I felt super supported in a conversation like that. Felt like someone wasn't trying to convince me of joining, and a reminder, I think, reminder for me, and the opportunity, of course, to share then with with all of you and share with the people I'm connected. It is possible to approach the world of sales in the way that feels really good for us. And so one of the words that she used that really resonated was she actually encouraged me. She said, I encourage you to invite people, right? And so, and she said, she doesn't use the words help or guide, or she does use the words educate and teach. But she said, in her experience, people resist the term help or guide, and they resist accepting an invitation around those words because they don't want to, they're not, maybe not in a place or space where they admit that they need help, or they don't see that they need guidance. Like everything is fine in their world. And so when someone offers their help, which tied into the whole receiving thing. How many of us as a collective are having a difficulty in receiving something? So if we, in our marketing or in our conversations with people, and we say, hey, I could help you with that, and people don't take us up on that, it's possible that it has nothing to do with us, probable that it has nothing to do with us, and more to do with where they're at, but the possibility of our languaging needing to change and not using the word help, and to actually ask your, so now this is why aha moment this morning was to ask your business. We're going to do what we call an elevator pitch or content creation or whatever. But when we are tapping into divine source energy to assist us, so that's how I would recommend we create content, tapping into divine source energy to assist us for the content. And that might be using chat. I mean, I believe that all tools are there, right, are created by divine. And then though, also asking the business, does this feel like it? So for me, it was the words that came to me was, does this feel like a representation? Is this what you want to share? And having the conversation with the business. And then testing and of course, testing different, what I would call them, like content, different elevator pitches, right? And really what, for me, the moment from the realization was inviting. I invite you to connect versus saying to people, I guide, I help, I do this, I do this. It's an invitation. Because that's really what we want to do, is we want to invite people into our world, right? I invite you to connect with me. I invite you to join me. All of those things, until we as a collective can release some of the lower density energy around the words help, right? Or even guidance, like I've used that word, being a guide. And again, I think, are people laying in bed at night looking for a guide or looking for help? I don't, right? I don't know if they are. I think there's a certain percentage of us who have come to the conclusion that we're not meant to do this on our own. So again, it will depend on your ideal client and the journey that they're at. I would, so what I'm being I guess guided to share is that we mix up the words, because from a client journey perspective, remember everyone's at a different place in their journey. So someone might be at a place where they're like totally open to, okay, I've been doing this on my own. I really am like surrendering that I need assistance. I need a guide. I need help. But most people are not necessarily at that place, right? And then reminding to when we're sharing what we're doing, and this can be in a profession, this just isn't work, but this is just owning our own business. But it's important that we meet people where they are, right? In the experience that they are. So they, might be looking for, I use the, sales, when I had the sales and marketing agency, people were looking to learn how to use Facebook. That's how long ago I had that's how to use Facebook. That's what my ideal client was wanting to know. How do I use Facebook? And how do I use Facebook to sell stuff? Because at that time you could actually put an organic post up, and people would come and buy. And so we met people where they're at. We did seminars on how do you use Facebook to sell. We did, how to have Facebook posts that convert. So everything was around the language that they were looking for. And then we talked about, it's not just putting up one post randomly, that you need a strategy. And what does the strategy look like? And in fact, you need a funnel. And then if you need a funnel, you need a marketing funnel, and you need a sales funnel. And then you need, actually from there, you need systems and structures in place. You need a marketing structure or a marketing system, and you need marketing tactics. You need a sales system and sales structure and sales tactics. And then you need operations, and you need a strategy on your operations. And then you need to become the CEO of your company. And so, right? And so we met them where they were at, but we knew all of the other steps. And so it's kind of like, here's what your client thinks that they need, but here's what they actually need. Now, in your languaging, and I've seen this brilliantly, is you can talk about that, right? And so if that was me, I would say, what I found is, right, that the woman that I work with, what they think they need is, maybe more sales, structure, or a marketing structure. What they need is a new strategy. But what they really need is, and then I would go into that. And that it changes and evolves. Like even now I'm finding my languaging is changing a little bit as things have shifted this last year. And so, so it's meeting people where they're at, and then leading them to where you're being guided to lead them, if that makes sense, logical sense, right? So meeting them where they're at, and then leading them to, what they actually need, right? And that you'll be guided to what they actually need. And just knowing that more than likely is a bit different, right? So, and that can be products or services. So Chantel, from your perspective, right, at the spa, right, meeting people where they're at, they're there for one particular product or service, right? Whether then they're for lashes, or they're there for a pedicure, but what do they actually need beyond that, right? And so, so someone might need like a whole foot care plan if they have feet that they need taken care of, or a whole skin care plan if they have different challenges, that they have. And so so we can take it from that perspective, and then, and then beyond, going beyond that. And so all of you, have that opportunity, whatever you do, to look at it from that perspective. and even in a profession, right, meeting people where they're at. They say they need one thing, but chances are you see what they actually need, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm going to meet you where you're at, and then guide you to what I see is actually the actual problem, right? So that's the one thing that I wanted to, that's actually part of the one thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was I want to go back and I skimmed over this the other day, and I was guided to go back and not skim over, but to actually read this very important chapter of decision. So it's in the book, The Power of Decision. And so, as I said last time, I kind of skimmed over it. And so this morning it was like I was to go back to this. And so decision is the most important function of the individual mind. No creative process can begin until a decision is made. And actually, I'm just going to read the whole thing. I could not write this chapter until I had arrived at the decision to do it. I'm writing this on a lazy summer day when the outdoor invites me to so many pleasant things. I've been so sorely tempted to move from my typewriter, that's how old this is, and relax with friends. But I have decided that this chapter shall be written, and it shall be written now. Having made the decision, every right idea will flow into my consciousness. Each idea will reveal itself at the instant I need it. The writing proceeds, but it could not proceed without my having decided. The creative process awaits your decision and your calm acceptance of the necessary work on your part following the decision. Idea follows idea as you proceed the work of bringing to pass that which you decided would now be. You are able to accomplish anything you really want to accomplish. The infinite is yours to explore, and the infinite is never dull, stale, or commonplace. To say you do not know what to do, or you do not know what you want, is to negate the infinite intelligence which is individualized in you. What you are really saying is that you are too lazy to determine your own experience, or you think another person is better equipped to determine your good. I thought personally that was a little harsh, but I understand what he's saying, right? No one else on earth is better equipped to determine your good than you are. The universe has no favorites, and God knows no special person. Others may have more factual knowledge and more experience. They have this because of their own decisions. Consciously or subconsciously, they decided to think new ideas, read new sources of ideas, and execute definite plans based on the new ideas they assimilated. They know more because they decided to know more. You can do likewise. Explore ideas as the mariners of old explored the seven seas. They were impelled by an inner fascination with that which was unknown but could be known. They risked great physical dangers and underwent great deprivation. These you will not need to face. Your decision to explore new realms of mind will not take you away from the comforts of each day unless you let your comforts coddle you into only existing rather than being. You were created to be. And to be, you have to emerge from the cocoon of complacency and dare to adventure in consciousness across uncharted seas of mind. Even as you read this book, there are people everywhere who've decided to expand their lives. They have decided to be well and not sick. They have decided to prosper and not continue in financial limitation. They have decided to give and receive love. They have decided to be themselves. And as a result, they have the right ideas revealing themselves in their minds to accomplish their decisions. These people are willing to be temporarily uncomfortable in order to achieve expanded consciousness and reach new goals. So that's the first part of it. And so I think what's so important is we can make a decision. And once we make a decision, what the next piece of it is, which she talks about this next part of the chapter, is then inspired action, right? Then action must be taken. So we can, I am ourselves, right? I am so happy and grateful now that I am brilliant. I am amazing. I'm a rock star, right? Sales come to me effortlessly and easily. We can do all of those things. And yet if I don't pick up the telephone or I don't, create an opportunity to have a conversation, then It's not, that's not what, I guess that's not the message. So it's not about just having the right attitude. It's about having and the correct way of thinking. It's about what do you do with that? What do you do with the attitude, and what do you do with your thinking? And sometimes we have confusion between being busy and I'll use this word, being busy and being productive, right? Where we're busy because we don't necessarily, there's maybe confusion, and so we're just keeping ourselves really, really busy, and we're not moving ourselves towards the intention of what we desire. And so there is a balance, I will use that word, and a harmony between those two pieces, right? And so when my experience has been, when a decision is made, the ways and means for that becomes apparent to me if I'm willing to I guess surrender. Those will be the words that I would use, but surrender. And I'm willing to remember that I don't necessarily know the way. So I'm reminded of the story of going to Tasha's, whatever that was, that last weekend or the weekend before, when I was determined. I knew exactly where I was going, and I knew that I was going to Rimbey, and I was in Bentley going, why is her house a half an hour away when Rimbey and Bentley are like a 10-minute drive to get across town? I was so determined. My brain was telling me that I was in Rimbey when in reality I was in Bentley. And so how often do we do that? That we are so determined in our personality, in our ego, or in our I, that we know what to do. We have everything, which we actually do. So this is the crux. This is the mind fuck of it, is that you actually do know, right? You do know. And but within that is the shadow self of the knowing, which keeps us in the knowing of what we're not meant to know, or knowing of the illusion, or knowing we think it's the truth. I would have sworn to you up and down that I was in the right place, and that's why I was so confused. And what a beautiful gift, right? I would have been like, no, I knew exactly where I was going, and the GPS is wrong. Right? Even though it told me a half an hour, is like, that can't be correct. It has to be wrong, because I knew, because my brain knew where I was, and I loved it, right? Because it's like, oh, like how often that was the gift. How often have I done that? I know what to do. And again, this is true. We all do know what to do. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, right, we're in the right place, the right illusion. And what would that look like? What would that look like if we could surrender into, right? Even though I know, right? And the GPS is wrong, right? Exactly. Yeah, I know where I'm going. That's wrong. Okay. So we'll follow the other GPS of your mind and see, where I could still be in Bentley if that was the case, wondering where the hell I was, and where Tasha moved her house. She picked up her house and moved it out of my way, right? And so, but the decisions that we make, and the choices, and everything is a decision, and everything is a choice, which is very, very empowering, right? The important thing is I got there. Exactly. I did. Arrived. Got to hang out with her and her animals. It was awesome. And so what part of you is thinking that you know? Like, is there this two knowings? I guess to end it with this. There's two types of knowing. There's a knowing as in the divine knowing, right? My heart, my mind, my soul, my triune knows. Or there's my ego, my id, my I. Well, I know that. And it has a different tone, a different flavor to it. I would say one allows me the opportunity to explore and expand. And the other one allows me to also explore and expand, being stuck. I'll use that word, being stuck, staying where I am. Now, remember, The theme, I think, and I really I'm sensing this, the theme for the group is to remember um, that how powerful you are, the decisions that you make, that everything is a bit of an illusion, you know, and if you say things like, well, I know that, and your experience is part of that Groundhog Day, you're being guided to, like, okay, even though you may know that, you're not, excuse me, so sorry, you're not experiencing that. And so what would be the shift? You intellectually know it, but you're experiencing something different. There is a gap. So the gap is there for you to shine the light of truth, of the brilliance of who you are, and the brilliance of you making certain decisions to keep you where you are for safety and security, right? And so that's the illusion, is that the unknown is not safe. And so what if, and it's not even tricking your mind, but it's, I guess, reminding yourself, and I do this through my affirmations, or I am safe and secure, right? Always and in all ways. And then I say that every single day. I am safe and secure always and in all ways. And I'm so happy and grateful now that I am safe and secure always and in all ways. Because I know for me, safety and security, fears are a trigger. Fears are a trigger. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I will just quickly mention, for those of you who are just, following human design, or exploring human design, in your spleen, which is the left, I think it's the left side triangle, are your gates of fear. And so one of the most beautiful things about having that as information is, even if you don't have never had your chart read, but you look at that and you say, there's like 7 or 8. Actually, let me be specific with my data. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's seven gates in the spleen, and it's that triangle that is like pointing towards the body on the left. Each one of those gates represents a fear. And so the greatest information for me, so for me, I have, out of those, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 7 gates of fears. So the beautiful gift for me when I looked at that was, there's nothing wrong with me. So for those of you that know my story, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not fucked up. But I have 4 of the 7 gates of fear present. So part of my purpose here on life is to learn how to expand through those, move through those, rationalize myself through those, experience them, share them, and to know that those may ever, never, never, ever, quote unquote, go away. And that doesn't mean that I'm not good at what I do, but that they're there. They're part of my human design. And so it was so awesome for me, because it's like, well, when I experience the fear, I don't have to think that there's something wrong. I can just go, oh, that's interesting that I'm experiencing this fear of the future, or the fear of the past. And what is that all about? I become more curious. And because I'm obsessed with human design, I go into what transit is happening, what's going on in the world of the planets, because chances are, if I'm feeling that, it's because it's being activated by a planet, by something going on astrologically, something with the collective, right? The other day I was like feeling really, really off and anxious, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Then I realized, oh, it's the Alberta election. I am feeling the collective of my community, of my province, as we were electing a new leader, and the possibility of electing a new party, and so I could feel it. And so, and I know that in my past, I would have spun for days. What's going on with me? Why can't I figure this out? Because I really, in my head, I had convinced myself that I was to experience joy all the time. Anybody else feel that? That if I'm a good person or the right person or a good coach or a loving human being, I'm to experience joy all the time. And so because I had set myself up for that if I wasn't feeling joy, that would mean I gave it a meaning, which was there must be something wrong with me, right? And now there's the meaning I give it is there's something, yeah, there's absolutely something going on. And more than likely it's not mine. And so, but how often have you put that kind of pressure that you feel like you have to have a good day every day, a productive day every day, a positive, like we have to be positive all the time, right? And we're going to have bad days. We're going to have days where we just want to Netflix and chill. And that doesn't have to mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means I don't want to. I don't want to get out of bed today. I don't want to do this thing today. I don't want to be responsible today. I don't want to clean my house today, right? I don't want to be nice to people today, right? I don't want to be a loving wife today. I just like to sit upstairs and could everyone just leave me alone? And I'd prefer to, be in my back cave, right? And so, but how often do you not allow yourself to do that, right? And that you force yourself, and I get sometimes, right, this is the balance of the right of the ego and the and our divine self, right? That sometimes we do need to like correct and go, okay, I get that. I just, necessarily don't want to do that, and it's necessary. And can we do that with honor? Can we honor how we feel and make a decision? So it goes back to the power of decision, and make a decision and not judge ourselves. Because judgment is such an predominant energy in our world, right? And I think that's really what keeps us stuck, is the judgment. Personally, that's my own personal point of view, POV, not necessarily even any data at this moment in time. All right, let me pause or stop the recording.